Welcome back. This is Carrie.
And this is Ben Nikolai.
We're agents with Coldwell Banker Siewert here in Wisconsin Rapids. And today is January 6th. It's the new year,
It is the new year.
2021.
I'm super excited for 2021.
Yeah? Why is that?
It's a new year. Things have been going great so far. We're 6 days in. A lot of fun things have been happening.
We had listings. We had offers on the listings.
We have ice on the trees. It looks very beautiful outside.
It does. It looks like winter.
It does. Now, if it can just stay this way for the rest of winter, that'd be awesome because then the trees don't look so dead and so disgusting. And it just looks all pretty.
The temperatures stay nice in the mid 30s, and we don't have to worry about the sub-zero Arctic blasts and all that stuff coming from Canada.
And I do understand that winter is yet to come, and it is coming because we usually do get that cold snap, and we should be getting it pretty soon.
But even though it's winter, people are still wanting to live in houses.
Yes, which is just with our new listing. So we had a new listing that we got a little bit after Christmas.
231 10th Street North.
Yeah. And we started showings on January 2nd. By the 3rd, we had 4 offers sitting on the table. And by the 5th, had an accepted offer. And it was just amazing to see that, we still have have families out there who are still looking to buy homes.
I have a feeling that we're going to continue that trend into the new year. So if the house is any sort of decent and the price is any sort of decent, they're going to be flying off the shelves.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much go off as soon as they come on.
So still, as sellers are out there just kind of wondering, well, do we list? Do we not list? Just list. That she will sell. There is a family for every single home.
As always, now is a good time to list your house for sale.
Mm-hmm. Even if you're looking at wanting to sell, they always say early spring. Well, that could be in March, and we can still list the house now. And we can work with that close date to get that close date in coordinated with what you were looking at doing. So if we list it now, we have a couple of weeks of it sitting on the market, and then you finally get that offer. We can work with that close date to get it closer to what you were looking at, or you might be able to be lucky and leave the Wisconsin weather behind you sooner than what you thought.
It kind of all goes into why are you thinking about holding off until spring? So is it because you have a timeline? There's something that triggers that timeline, like you're wanting to move or something like that? Or is it because you have a preconceived notion that is the time that people are starting to look for stuff? And if it's that, then it's not necessarily correct. We've got a lot of buyers. Everybody has a lot of buyers that are just kind of sitting there waiting for something to come on the market. And right now there isn't a lot of inventory because a lot of people are running on this misconception. So you don't have a lot of competition.
Mm-hmm.
So if we've only got 1 or 2 houses in that price range or less versus in the springtime when everyone wants to, think that this is the time to sell, now you're against maybe 8 or 10. And you're like, well, this should be flying off the shelf. It should be, offers right away. Well, now you've got some competition because it's the springtime.
Well, and we also have to look at the area too. So, down by the lakes versus in town, each different area of Rapids, Port, Rome, they all have different timelines. So usually Rome heats up usually in the spring, in March, April. So listing a house now, at least then you have it listed. It's on the market. People are looking at it, but it may not really see a whole lot of action for another month. So it all depends upon the area and what goes on in that particular area too.
And from the buyer's side, the buyers are itching to get into homes because they have needs. They have timelines too.
Mm-hmm.
Worst case scenario is you give us a call, we come out and we get that plan in place. So we can kind of guide you along with what areas should you maybe focus on for cleaning up and getting sorted out, and work on that timeline to say, we can start now. You guys don't have to be absolutely rushed to get out of the house to get it listed if you want to list it in springtime. But here's an idea of the price range. And if you do these things or these fixes or updates, whatever, then it'll be even more sellable in the springtime.
Yeah. So, I mean, it just have us come over, take a look at it, and we can go on from there.
Everything's on the um everything's on your schedule. On you are client on the client's schedule. So if you don't want to do it now, you don't have to do it now. If you see a value in listing it now, from what we can show with statistics and other things like that, hey, that's great too. We're going to be with you in it for however long it needs to be.
Very true.
We tell it to the buyers too. I mean, we've worked with buyers for well over a year trying to find a house that fits them. And it's like, don't rush. You don't have to rush, then don't rush.
Yeah, we always do, it's on your guys' timeline. We're not those agents who, after 3 homes or a 20-minute conversation, we want everything ink on paper. This is on your guys' time schedule and what you guys want and need.
And I think once we start those conversations and um, have a little bit of an education dynamic with our new clients, they tend to understand that things may not have been what they perceived them to be. We still have a lot of people coming to us and saying things like, as a buyer, well, I'll never pay full asking price for anything. It's like, well, this isn't necessarily that market where you can do that and still win a listing. And for the people on the selling side, it's kind of a coin toss. It'll either sell right away or it'll sit for a little bit. We just looked back at some numbers from last year, and average days on market between when it was listed to when you actually signed papers at the closing table was right about 90 days.
Yeah. So, I mean, we're looking at 3 months. And really, if we back out those 30 days for once you get that accepted offer, so you're really looking at 2 months that a house is gonna be sitting on the market
On average.
on average.
So, of course, there were a lot of properties that went very quickly. Some lasted a couple weeks, maybe 2 weeks before they got an offer. And of course, those are balanced off by the oddball or overpriced properties that sat for or have been sitting
And
for a
we've seen
while.
some properties too that got the accepted offer. They went a ways and then that offer fell through, so they came back on the market,
Hmm.
got a new offer. Again, we had to go through everything. It fell apart, and then it came back on the market, and it did this 3 to 4 different times. And so the number of days on market kind of went up on that one, where if it was, if the offer didn't fall apart through the first time, then those numbers would be a little bit less. So we always usually tell all of our sellers, plan on 3 months at least, maybe a little bit longer, depending upon the type and the price range of these homes. Because a ranch home may sell a whole lot quicker than a duplex. A duplex may sit on the market a little bit more, or a zero lot line, depending upon the style, the type, and the location. So it always varies.
There's always three things that you start to look at. You have to have the right house. I mean, some houses are just in disarray, dismantled, dismay. Um, so, right house, right price, and right marketing. So, if you don't have the right people looking at the house in the first place, they won't have that pool of buyers looking at it. If it's not in the right price for the house that it is, or the people looking at it, it'll sit for a little longer.
Mhm.
So it's always a combination of those things, and that's why we're here to help out.
Yep. So, okay, so another nuance,
Go ahead.
because it's Wisconsin weather outside. We always look at home care during the winter times.
Wintertime home care.
I
So
love wintertime home care.
so um, curb appeal. I mean, we
Mhm.
talk about curb appeal a lot in the summertime. I'm a fan, but curb appeal in the wintertime could be what?
Those are some very good questions. We always look at making sure all of our sidewalks are shoveled and iced, but even from that point of view, just if you had pictures of the house prior to the snow, usually sometimes helps, but then also, making that the house look ap approachable during the wintertime. So, making sure that if you want the kids out there, you can do a little snow forge out in the front yard. I mean, make it so that way the house looks fun or the yard looks fun, so that way we know where you can possibly put that snow fort.
And try to pick up the dog poo
Yes, as much as possible.
because nobody likes to buy a house now and deal with frozen dog poo in the springtime.
Mhm.
What else can we do in the wintertime for our winter sales?
We've got the ice dams. So during the winter time, we've got the snow melts on the roof and we get the ice dams to form and, you know, managing those. So that way when people do look at the roof line, they don't see those ice dams, or you can keep it to a minimal because that can always back up and end up in the house.
Water management. I keep coming back to it. The most particular thing of homeowners is water management.
Yes.
Um, keeping an eye on your house as far as the water and septic. So we need to keep the houses at a certain temperature for sure. And it's a good idea to keep it as a comfortable temperature so that when your buyers walk in, they're comfortable. The first thing they think of isn't, oh my gosh, this house is so cold and frigid. We know people don't want to spend a lot of money when they're not living in their house, especially vacant houses for heating, but it'll pay off.
It will.
At least until we get the first offer and then we can knock it down a couple degrees. I'm not talking keeping it at 80, but maybe in the 50s to 60.
I was gonna say probably about 65 would be good because then, if
It
we
take
need to go in there and turn up the heat before a showing, so that way it's a little bit warmer. We're not trying to increase 10 degrees. So I usually tell sellers about 65 is a good temperature.
Yep. And then keeping an eye on your pipes for freezing, those types of things, and just keeping an eye on the house, if especially if it's vacant during the wintertime. Um, the septic systems are another thing. We usually coach people on just leave the septic alone. It'll do what it does. But if you try to baby it along by running the water a little bit here and there, it actually might make it worse.
Yes. And we've seen that a couple of years now, and we usually have at least one frozen septic per year.
So the wintertime brings special challenges, of course.
Yep. All right. So do we have any community events?
I don't know.
I know I kind of sprung this let's podcast today on you, but I know that we've got to be having some community events going on. Always just go ahead and check the website for the Chamber of Commerce here in Wisconsin Rapids. They always have their website updated as far as events going on. I know the River Kings are playing hockey,
Great.
so go check them out over the weekend.
Visit wisrapids.com, I think, is for either the Chamber or the Convention Visitors Bureau. They
Hmm.
always have a list of events, and we've always got it at our website, myrapids.com.
Yep, and we have Friday fish fries here in Wisconsin Rapids all over the place, so that's always something fun to do is go get your old fashioned and your fish fry.
Lent should be coming up shortly.
Hmm.
February, middle of February, I think, is our Ash Wednesday start.
And this Saturday, we are also doing an open house over on 1313 Sweat Avenue here in Wisconsin Rapids. And that's our 3-bedroom, 2 full bath, 0 lot line home that we have up for sale. And everything's on one level, which is nice. So you got your laundry on the main level. You do have a basement with this house, which is nice.
It's not a full basement, and it's not really a living space basement. I think
No,
the
it's more
previous
for
owner,
more for storage.
and I think the previous owner had a little tinker wood shop down there. So, if you want a little space to get away, there's a cedar closet down there as well.
Yeah.
So that'd be kind of neat
Yeah. So come on and check that out. We'll be over there from 11 to 12:30
on Saturday.
on Saturday.
Very good.
Yeah.
Well, that's all I've got.
That's all I have too. So you guys have a great Central Wisconsin day, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.